Hello, I am here with Angela Palm. She is the GSBA Director of Policy and Legislative Services. Hello, Angela.
Hi, Denise.
Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for doing it.
So I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
Let's talk to us about legislative services and how it ties into our education system.
Okay. Every year, the Georgia General Assembly meets and they pass a lot of laws. A lot of focus is on education. We also have a state board of education that's appointed by the governor, and they set the rules for the state on how we implement legislation passed either at the federal level or the state level. And so GSBA has me, and sometimes other staff members from GSBA, representing them at the General Assembly and at the state board. We also have a federal advocacy program, and all of those entities make rules for how we provide education to our kids. So it's important.
Now, earlier we were talking about an advocacy program. Can you talk to our watchers about that as well?
Yes, we have a very open process. Our members actually choose our legislative positions. Sometimes people think that I do, but I don't. And every year we have it open, and the board members can send in suggestions for the positions. They can suggest changes to the existing positions, new ones, deleting ones, the ones that we exist. And then we have a committee that meets, the Governmental Operations Committee, and they vote on what was recommended to be done and decide whether to pass it forward. And the Delegate Assembly will actually meet later this afternoon, and they will vote on the legislative positions. And that's what I'll have next year to set the parameters for how I approach legislation, whether to support it, oppose it, work with it. So it's an important part of the membership.
Absolutely, and it seems like it's an important day today too as well.
Yes.
There's some legislative decisions that are going to be happening today.
Yes.
Now talk to us about the lower performing schools and the initiative that GSBA is taking to actively work on that.
Okay. We have several things going on. First of all, from the GSBA perspective, we've been working on our training and board development and the workshops that we're offering to try to approach it from a multi-pronged angle, to offer different topics that impact students and how well they perform and the information board members need to understand in order to budget appropriately for the work to be done in the district. We also, at the state level, this past session had a bill to the turnaround schools, to set up turnaround eligible schools for the state to be more on the intervention side, rather than just directing the local efforts. And that bill passed, and the state board will start implementing it now. They'll hire a chief turnaround officer. So we have that going on. We also, at the state level, have been working with them on the development of the state ESSA plan. That's the Every Student Succeeds Act. It's a federal law, and the state has to create a plan on how they're going to implement it. Part of that is, how are we going to define the lowest performing schools that should get comprehensive support? How will we define schools where overall it may look okay, but there are subgroups of students in those schools who are continually not performing as high as other groups? And so we have to define all those kinds of things, and then move forward with, okay, and then give them a time period for moving off of that category. And if they don't, then what do we do? And one of the things that we're trying hard to do and have been working on all year is trying to make sure at the state level we tie all these pieces together. Because we have the turnaround eligible effort, we have the ESSA state plan, and then additionally, the districts have almost all signed a flexibility contract with the state, which includes goals for each of the schools and how they'll approach it and what happens if they don't meet their goals. So we have three very separate things that really are very tied together, but we need to make sure that they do in fact complement each other in the work.
And now we were talking earlier about advocacy and involvement as well, understanding your legislation, understanding these new rules that are in place. How can leaders, educators, parents better understand these laws and get involved somehow? Or is there a message that you'd like to share, possibly a link or a website that we could read more information about it?
Yes. First of all, for school board members, we do Capitol Watch Online, and actually it's open to anybody. We have more subscribers who are not school board members than are actually. I do a daily report during the legislative session. We do a report every month after the state board meets, so that everybody knows what action they took. And so to be aware of it that way and to understand what's going on, Also, the other thing that to inform themselves, I urge everybody to look at all the websites that the state has created that has information rating them in some way or reporting information about how their students and employees are performing. There's the College Career Readiness Performance Index, referred to often as the CCRPI. That's on the Georgia Department of Education's website. We have the Governor's Office of Student Achievement. That one is separate from the department. That one has the official state report card.
Okay.
They also have a separate website that is a school grading site, and they will grade the schools from A to F.
Okay.
Then they also have created one where you can compare schools. You can look for schools similar to yours,
Okay.
whatever characteristics you want to look at, and compare that. So we have all those kinds of things. We also have a website that shows how high school students have performed in college. Did they need? How many of them were needed remedial courses? How many finished in 4 years? All those kinds of information are important to understand because those are what's telling the story to the people on the outside. And everybody at the school level, the board members, superintendents, teachers, everybody needs to understand what their story is. You know who your students are, you know where they're coming from, you know where they hope to go. You have more information about what scholarships did your kids receive. And that can be an important story because where it looks like there may not be much success, there often is a lot of success going on, a lot of great things going on. And so everybody needs to write the story of their district and be ready to tell it in a second.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. So would you
You're
say
welcome.
that the GSBA.com site would be a good place to start?
That's a good place to start,
Okay.
and because the others are longer, but when you go to GSBA.com and look at some of the information, you can get yourself to the other ones, or anybody can contact me. I'm on the website, so they can email me, and so or any of the staff would be glad to help.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Angela.
Thank you.